Hello, my name is Landon Buffington, and this is my Unit 4 major project for U.S. history. The first question is, what factors did Crovecoeur identified as making a person an American in the late 18th century? Um, One of these big things that was unique to him was the culturally diverse, the cultural diversity of America at this time. People were coming from all over Europe. You had English, you had Scots, you had Swedes, Germans. It was very, very unique to have such a large gathering of people all together like this. It didn't really exist anywhere else in the world, and they kind of all brought their own ideas from the Enlightenment and Great Awakening, and really influenced the early nation. So that was one thing he identified that makes an American. Another thing that makes an American is kind of on the immigrant track as well. Anyone who came here would be protected by the laws, and they were considered full citizens under the law, whereas they might have been just some insignificant nobody in their previous country. They were really able to make a new life, which is kind of the American dream, the roots of the American dream. Um, the second question is, do you agree with these factors as identified at the time, and to what extent are they still accurate now, over 200 years later? I absolutely do agree with these factors, and we see them all over America today, too. I mean, we have one of the most diverse populations in the world, whereas I know a lot of other European countries are like that now, but America still kind of has that uniqueness where it's in our blood to just come from all over. We still enjoy a lot of the freedoms that we enjoyed back at this time as well. Um, we're mostly able to do what we want. We're able to pursue what we want economically, career-wise. We don't have to worry about the government busting down our door on any given day, which I know the landscape's a little bit different these days, but for the most part, I think we do have a general degree of freedom, like de Crovecoeur identified back in the 18th century. Our third question is, which of the fractures identified in American society from the evidence in chapters 6 and 7 were the most significant and important, and why? I think one of the biggest fractures that was very important was the argument over central power between the Federalists and the Republicans. Federalists obviously wanted a stronger federal government, and the states to have a little bit less say, and the Republicans wanted the state governments to have more of a say, and they felt that with the diversity of ideas in the state governments, that needed to be the final word. And everybody recognized that there needed to be a stronger government after the Articles of Confederation. They needed to be able to tax more in order to fund certain critical functions in the nation. The argument was mostly over how much should it increase. This was probably the most significant thing in my opinion, and it's lasted a long time. It lasts to this day, just because it really determines the direction of a nation. Like, are we going to have a very strong central front, kind of echoing the monarchies in England and the British Empire, or are we going to have our loose confederation that arguably fell apart during the Articles of Confederation, the loose pact of friendship? I don't think either extremes really work fully, but the other fracture that was really big was fracture over slavery, and this lasted for a long time because, of course, there were a lot of people that were not really sound morally about the whole transatlantic slave trade. They saw the abuses that were happening, and they thought it didn't really reflect Americans and what our ideals should be, because these people were being abused and taken advantage of and just taken from their homes and brought here. Many people felt a lot of empathy for them. I would probably argue this one. I mean, it played a huge role back then. I'm not sure it exists now in modern society. Just because the Civil War was fought, it was outlawed. And I think the general consensus 200 years later is that it's wrong, you know. It was very important back then still, because because it was an argument that was raging, and eventually it led to the Civil War, just because of how different the economies were that were set up in the North and South. North didn't have to worry about it. They didn't have those large plantations that their economy was based on. But the South needed this establishment of slavery in order to run their entire economy, pretty much. And then the last question, of course, is, in your opinion, does any remnant or legacy of this fracture still play a role in modern American society? I kind of answer that about slavery. I don't think it does. I don't think it lasts. The remnant of state power versus federal power absolutely does exist to this day. Typically, Republicans are still fighting that same battle of wanting more state power and wanting the states to be able to decide on certain issues like abortion and gun control, where Democrats are typically arguing for more centralized power and centralized rule in order to pass legislation either protecting things like abortion or outlawing guns, or, I mean, those are just two examples of the biggest heated debates. They want a lot of times a much stronger presence in NATO and world organizations, and they want the United States to play that role stronger, with a stronger central government, where I think Republicans these days are just more focused on the local level and the state level a bit more. Anyway, that's my video reflection, and I'll wrap this up. Thanks for listening. My name is Landen Buffington again. Thanks.